So welcome to Bonnie's Designs. This is a live stream, impromptu Saturday. It's recorded for ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. It does mean quite a lot to me. It encourages me to carry on or to change things that are not very good. So comments are always welcome, as long as they're not too derogatory. They're okay. I can take criticism, but if I can't change the fact that I can't do certain things or the dog barking, then it gets a bit stressful. So I decided that because my hands work particularly well today, I've found, because I've got so many supplies tucked away, I found my gorgeous Derwent pastels. And I thought I would have a play. And my new rule is that I have to use a book numerically. So this is the practice and this is the first page. And I've kept this, I wanted this to be like for the little bunny that we lost, a memorial to him, but he didn't look like that anyway, and it has to be done, and I've always been frightened of the pages. So by doing them in order, I have to do the ones that I'm not happy with and the ones that are, I think, oh yes, that's going to be okay, that. So it takes you slightly out of your comfort zone, but it also means that eventually I will actually fill a colour book, which is something I haven't managed to do yet. I kind of colour the favourite ones, and then oops, a new book comes out, so I get a new book, and I never go back to the old books. So this is something that I really need to address. So I'll be taking photographs and putting them on my iPad. And then certain ones that I know I can't colour in pencils and I can't colour them in any water medium, I will be putting on the iPad and colouring those in digitally. Because it means I can use pencils and lots of oils and all sorts of things that you can do digitally that physically I cannot do. So I thought I'd go back to my little number 1 brush. I've been using this brush for about an hour, and it's okay, but I want a nice watercolour effect. So the way I'm going to use the pastels is very similar to the one in oops, not summertime. Seasons. I scratched a bit of colour. No, I didn't. I must have 4. Yes, I have 4 magical. I have 4 of Hannah Carlson's. I thought I only had 3, but I have 4. I don't always see them all at once. So this one, I was again starting from the first page because that's my New Year's resolution. So I was scratching colour in. So this is pastel that's been scratched in, and then I was to manipulate it later. And this one is graphitint. So I'm quite happy to scratch colour in and leave it. Using all my water-based mediums, crayons and pastels. So I quite like that. I don't know how it's going to turn out because I haven't activated the actual colour. So the theory is I have used the technique before. I don't know if I've used it with these particular pastels. But although pastels aren't a watercolour, when you add a damp brush to them, or you can scrape them into a pan and you can make a watercolour with them, they haven't got the binder, which is normally gum arabic, but what they do have is just a small amount of pigment that basically just holds it together. Instead of it being a powder form, it becomes a pastel, and that's where they're very vibrant because they have the most pigment in them. The cheaper ones have more binder, the softer ones have less, and of course when you crumble a soft one, it almost looks like a pure pigment because it's got the least amount of binder to it. So they're always quite vibrant, but they react like a watercolour. If you add any of the colour into dissolve into water, you technically have a watercolour, although kind of officially it's not a watercolour, but it reacts like a watercolour. So what we can do, like the Neos, they have a watercolour binder to them. The Derwent art blocks, the Derwent art bars, the Derwent watercolour pencils and the ink 10s, they all work the same way. Scratch a bit of colour, manipulate it with a brush. So I've just picked out this quite nice purple actually. The other thing you can do with these, there's only 36, but they all correspond to the Derwent pastel pencils. So what I've been doing, especially when these are all kind of really dark, I've been looking at the number. These are not named, but they're numbered. So you can look up the number, and you don't have to buy the pencils for this. You could download or just photocopy the colour guide of the pencils from the internet, and if it gives you the number, it will give you the name. So for instance, this one is P200. Nope, P29. I don't know if it's 200. I think it's P290. So look at P290. P290 is ultramarine. So I know that that pastel is this pencil. And so if you were using them as a traditional pastel medium on pastel paper that is kind of like almost as rough as sandpaper, it has a good tooth, you build up colours, that's how traditionally you use pastels. So you could do your fine work, your big work with these pastels, and then you could go in with finer detail with these, and you've got the same colours. So I know that this is ultramarine, so that gives me a bit of a good indication of what I want. So I was looking at this bunny page. I could make those kind of white daisies, because in the background I'm going to do a brown bunny. We've got the bunny page. So we're going to have some kind of, I think, kind of bright colours. Now I could do the bunny first. Obviously the inside of the bunny ears is going to be pink. So straight away I have a pale skin colour, which is 750. Sorry, P150. I say it's not what it was. And P150 is flesh. So I think we could put some colour in this bunny ear. So I'll do this one ear very quickly, and so you can see the technique. Now under here I have a wet baby wipe, and I've used it for another page. So I've been using this for an hour. So what I'm going to do is use my Derwent watercolour brush, because this page can take slightly more water than the other one I was doing. You squeeze till it's wet, and then you twist to a point. And that's going to be enough dampness to manipulate this colour. So I'm going to pop this on the side. So all I use a hard surface to draw it backwards and twist. And I do that whether I'm using a traditional paintbrush or a watercolour brush, because it brings your paintbrushes back to a point, which is obviously what you want. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. We're just discussing the naughty Alfie. I might want a little bit extra pink in there. Now I have a pink, but I've also got 160, and 160 is crimson. So I think I'm just going to put a little scratch. And of course, because this is a pastel, you can put them on the page and then mix them. You can actually mix them on the page. So I'm going to take my brush and make sure that it's just barely damp. I don't want it too wet. And I've actually gone over there, so if I zoom in, I'll show you what I mean. So again, you can do this with any pastels. It's more difficult to do it with come on, straight up, there we go. So I don't know if you can actually see, my lighting's bright. You can see the bits of dust there. You can see there is dust. So I've gone over the line there. Just move that down very slightly. I've just gone over the line there. So the beauty of the Derwent eraser, and although you can get another one, you have to make sure it's clean. Now that's not very clean, that one. So you pull this out, and I just turn it around so the dirty end is back in. So then if I'm doing anything that's really grungy, I'm not throwing the eraser away. So what I'm going to do is just touch up to that line, and it's completely disappeared. If I'd have activated it with water, it wouldn't have done that. And you can do that with quite a lot of Derwent products. So now I just want a little bit of that in the ear again. So because I've been messing about, I've got to twist that baby wipe because it's just barely damp, and then manoeuvre this about. Now you can always go back in, but what you can't do is take out very well. You can if you're on watercolour paper, and of course these are designed for pastel paper, but you can use these on watercolour paper and do beautiful watercolours. So I wanted just this really nice soft edge. So when you're actually manipulating a bright colour, you will find it's actually still on the end of your brush. So again, move that about a bit, and then you can take this up to the top. So you can get a nice watercolour effect if you've got a rigger, but just recently I've found using a water brush quite nice. So I have a really nice, subtle inner ear. Now that was a little bit wet, but we'll turn it over, and it hasn't done any damage at the other side, so we're fine. So I'll do the other ear. Again, I kind of want it dark. Now the other thing you can do, and these pastels are very good, but then there's a coating on the outside. If you touch the top, you'll get the colour. But if you touch the outside, till you start scratching it, you will not get the colour. So you can hold them in your hands quite well. So what I can do is I can put that there, and I can touch, and I can pick the colour up. So there's two ways you can use these. So this is just like using a Neo. You can use it in exactly the same way. And as we get further up, the paintbrush is getting paler and paler. And eventually we can get in with this one. Now don't blow the dust off, because it's the dust that's the paint. You can incorporate the dust. But bearing in mind, these are not really designed for colour books. They are designed to be used on pastel paper. So we now have two bunny ears done. Excuse me. I think I'm going to do a tiny bit of the flesh colour for the end of his nose. And although he's a chocolate bunny, I think I might want some highlights. So I'm going to look at my pastels then, but I do try to put them back in order just because I know where they are then. So I have this yellow colour, and I think chocolate was P60, I think is chocolate. Oopsie. So I double check. So those are the colours that I want. So that one is 500, I think we said. It's 580. And I keep my pastels in the Derwent art bag because I love it. So P90 is chocolate and P80 is yellow ochre. So P90, 590 and 580. So the bunny is going to have highlights of 1. So that means that I can take that away. Now you could, if you wanted, you could scratch all the colour in and then manipulate it later. Oops, sorry. So we're going to think where there's going to be a highlight. So the tip of the ear. And again, it's not drawing on anything because I'm not using the little bit of an edge that I've got there. So as soon as I get to that ridge where there's no coating, so I think I could do with a little bit of highlight there. And if you wanted to be really accurate, you could. And because we can't get to this tiny space, I'm not going to force it. I can do that with the brush later. And actually, if you look at the dots, that's where things want to be dark and light. So the work's been done for you. And I'm just scratching a little bit of colour. So again, back to the brush, twist on a baby wipe. Start with the palest. And then you can see these little bits of dust suddenly turning into a watercolour. I don't know if you heard that, but Betsy's just called Bungle and he's just run straight away into the conservatory. She called him first time. I think we have to get her to teach Bungle. Thank you, darling.
Where's Bungle?
Bungle's just run through there. Betsy's just called him and he's just run straight in there because his mummy called. So Betsy's the cat that lost all her kittens. And she was so traumatised, she was found with them all. And she wouldn't leave them even though they'd all perished. And she wasn't doing very well, so I brought her home. And now she just loves to loll about. But after 10 days, she just fell in love with Bungle. So Bungle didn't have a mummy. And although he was at the age to leave, he was the only one left because all his brothers and sisters had been taken. And nobody wanted Bungle. And he was the only long-haired one and the only jet black one. And within 10 days, Betsy had taken to him, and now she won't let him out of her sight. If he's out of her sight for more than a minute, she shouts. So all I've done is follow the ear. Now at the moment he's quite a light bunny, but we can darken him up later if you want a chocolate bunny. So just bear with me, I've just got a question. Yeah, thanks guys. Thank you. It's a bit of a madhouse around here. We do have a zoo. It's an unofficial zoo. So I think I might do the flowers while I'm here because I know the colours I need to do. Now the other page was the Bennett Klein, and it took an hour to do a whole page, so it's really quick, but you're not rushing, it's just a quick process. I mean, you can go back in here, and I wouldn't do it now, even though this is really good quality, but what you could do is, when it's completely dried, you go back in and you build up your colours. Or you could use a hairdryer, you don't have to. And you just touch them, so you can use them like that. Now I use the Derwent Ink Tens blocks like this. Any blocks you can use, any pastel you can use like this if you want. And you can build a shadow down the back if you want to. So, how long have it been? 20 minutes. Right, another 20 minutes and then we have an unboxing. Amazon Gremlin struck again. So let's have a look. So again, I like these to be pale. And the roses I want to do, but these little daisies, they could be blue. I might do blue flowers. I think I'm going to do blue. And it's a small space, so I'm not going to try and get this huge brush in there. Sorry, corner. I can get a corner, but it's, why should I want to? You know, this is making more hardship for me. So I'm just going to touch a little bit. And because I've got a damp brush, I haven't got a full-on colour. It's just a very soft, almost bluebell colour. And what a nice way to work. You could, in fact, if you wanted, work entirely using the box of the pastels and just not getting them out. The only reason I've got them out is in a colour book, if you're doing a large space, it's always easier to put the dry medium on first, because if you're on a large space you will make a crinkle, and although I'm not really bothered too much, on certain pages you would completely destroy your book. And I've left that one for some reason. So I haven't got a watercolour effect, but I've just got some little soft flowers, because of course it's only make-believe. And because this is a perpetual paintbrush, you can go on for ages and not really move your arm too much. So you're just dabbing very carefully. And again, we haven't got that full-on ultramarine colour, but I kind of want this to be soft. And you can hear the jingle bells at the downstairs. This is the dog. Sorry. Should you be standing on the table? Alfie, down, down. My word. Yes. He's not a good boy, isn't Alfie, today? He's wearing his name out. And I'm not sure if it's his terrible teens, but he's completely ignoring what you say. Oh, sorry, Suzanne. Sorry, Suzanne. So what I could have done is left them actually where they were. Oops. Oh, actually the brown was there. Oopsie. Let's see if I can get this one in. So what you could do is leave that in there and just... Now, initially I used to go from this side, but I've realised that the number's there, so I always work the wrong end, so I always know what colour it is I've got. And now I've just done that, I picked up some blue and I don't want it, so if I go over the blues again, they're going to be darker, but I don't want to do that, so I'm going to have to waste that bit. So this is the clean baby white, that's how much I've wasted, a dot. And as a tight Yorkshire lass, I like that. So we've got a little bit of definition going, but it's always easier to scratch the colour in because, so I'll take that one out and I'll take, that one was 580, no, 590. I've got 560 for some reason. My eyesight's going a bit funny. That's 490, but that looks a purple. It's 590. Yeah. This one is 560, and 560 is raw umber. So raw umber would have still been nice, but the chocolate one is nicer. So again, because it's done really well, and again, Hannah Carlson's really good, you've got places to scratch. And you need to find the corner that you were using, because as I say, they do have a bit of a coating on them. And I think somebody was saying about all the derwent products come out like that, so that's fine. So I'm going to do his face next. Do small spaces. Oh, can't wait! An unboxing, yes! I'm just like a kid. So, you see it's dust. Now if you blew, that would disappear. So, yeah. So, again, and if it's going to get too dirty, we just... do the dark sides, and see how much you're picking up now. This is how well pigmented they are, so you know that they're good quality. We could take that up there. So you could just use them as a watercolour, and you could mix the colours together if you wanted to, or you can mix them on the page like I'm doing. So I'm just going to get this dark, and then I'm going to clean the brush, because as a tight Yorkshire lass, I don't like the fact we can get into some nice diddy spaces with this gorgeous derwent brush. It's definitely getting a chocolate bun now. Clean the brush, because I don't want to take the brown any further. I want to manipulate the cream back with it. And it will all move because it's a watercolour. Or technically it's not a watercolour, but it reacts like a watercolour. So it will move again. It will always move. They're not Inktense blocks. These will always move. And if you need to blend it a bit more, leave it and come back to it a lot later. Go back up to there because we're going to highlight, and then normally if you were using the other brush you'd have to stop, but because this is perpetually wet you don't have to go back. Now I do have to clean my brush because I just don't want that brown. So you can blend to almost nothing, but you can only do it for a minute or two, and then what you have to do is leave it because it's cold, so it's not dried, and then what you can do is go back in at a later date and do a bit more to add to it, and you can do finer detail. There's a tiny little bit of brown down there. Have you got any questions? So, what does Suzanne say? I'm like a kid, I've got my art. Oh, you got your art sticks this morning. So I'm just going to put a highlight on there because I think the rest of it is going to be dark. So again, we can incorporate that to then go under there. So let's take our brush, the light first. And this is why I love the Derwent brush, because it's so easy. It doesn't matter what water-based medium you have. It just perpetually pushes it around for you. And we can bring that to be dark, as if we had a nice natural. Now I've got dark on there again, so take it off, but I haven't used, that's all I've wasted. So I do like working this way because you don't waste your colour, because if you're using a pot, your colour's just going into your water pot and it's going down the drain. So what I'm going to do here now, I want a bit darker. And just move across. Just move down a bit as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just touch there. Oopsie. And then I'm just going to go in. And eventually I'll make a little well. That becomes a little well. And you can get some quite strong colours. and when these flowers are coloured in, they'll pop out because we have a nice chocolate bunny underneath. Sorry guys, Berkele. I didn't even know he was down there. He's just jumped up from right next to me and frightened the life out of me. That's naughty Alfie. Sorry guys. So we're getting a bit of a dark bun. On the plus side, we'll never be burgled. So I'm going to take this down here. Clean the brush. Find the little England sign and to pick up the colour. And it's a bit stronger this time because it's more concentrated. And just get that colour in there. And then now I don't think I've done this for a while, so I'm a bit out of practice. But eventually your skills will get better and better. Oopsie. Oh, they're woodless Prismacolor blocks. So that means that they're a full-on colour then, isn't it? You've got, instead of having pencil, they're like the colour tones, the aquatones, sorry, that Derwent brought out. Derwent brought aquatones out. You can't get them anymore. I've just bought some second hand because I absolutely love them. And they're like a big, long, thin pencil, but there's no wood. It's just pure colour. And again, you could use those in this way. You can use Neocolor 2s like this. It's very simple. Inktense blocks. The only thing about the pencils is you don't have the control of light and dark. So I have my little book of watercolours, which is kicking about somewhere. So if it's a pencil, a water-based pencil, I wouldn't use it by touching the end of the pencil because you're only going to get one colour. Whereas if you made a palette or a square, then paper palettes, you get 10 colours for each pencil. And the same with the Neos. When you touch a Neo, you get normally full-on colour. But if you use a paper palette, you can get 10 shades of each colour. And that's why I like them. But the blocks, anything that's a block, you can get the colour. So I'm just going to go around there. And I thought at first I wanted it really kind of full on, but I actually like the fact it's not black, because you'd lose your definitions of your flowers if it was black. And we do want that chocolate bunny underneath. And as I say, you can go back in there and do real fine detail. But on this particular page, I just use it for therapy. play with colour. That's all you're doing, is playing with colour. You could have done a purple and pink bunny. This is the beauty of these fantasy colour books. When we want reality, we can look at the Harry Potters and the Jane Austen ones. But this one is, we're just playing with colour. This is the therapy bit that we spoke of the other day. So we know I want a brown bunny, or whatever colour. We've got a perpetual brush. We're just topping up the colour when it fades. There was a little dot, that little dot there. So if I'd have touched my ochre colour, it would have been a bit darker. It wouldn't have mattered too much, but you can contaminate these quite easily because they're not very stable, as I say, because they are a pastel. They're not as stable as they should be, perhaps. And if you want to do a big area, it's probably a better idea to scratch the colour in. This right-handed, so I'm bound to make a pig's ear of it. And then it's nice to scratch a little bit of dark in there, so we can go in with the pale, get all that highlight that we want. And really you want to work like this, because you want to work towards, what you're doing is you're pushing the darkest bit against the black line. And then we need a bit of a shadow there. We can work that through into that dark and clean out the brush. And it's got a bit wet as that, so I'm going to leave it because I've got a nice highlight there, so I want to keep that nice highlight if I can. Oh, Suzanne says they're not watercolour, they're just a Prismacolor block of goodness. Ooh. Are they water soluble or are they wax? Suzanne. I shall have to have a look at those, but not at 3 o'clock in the morning. So this colour here now, I'm going to take up. So where it's joined, I'm going to take it up. And where the flower's joined, I'm not. But if it's, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm just going to take that colour up there. Just need to touch that there. I'm sure there's some little bits I've missed. So how the flowers now stand out quite nicely now. That dark. So what I'm going to do now, is look at the greens. So I've got some olive greens, kind of like that one. These are the colours that I used on the tree for the Bennett Klein picture. So I have a pale and a darker one. And what I want to do is have a mouthful of coffee.
Right, coffee.
So I'm going to put the green, and again you see I can't scratch that bit because it's got the cover, it's only just started now, so I've used that end a bit there. So there's a coating on them so they don't kind of and the reason I actually want to put the colour down for a reason. So on the tip of all the leaves, got a bit, I'm just going to put a little bit of this one. This is the palest one. I should have done the little thingies, but I did. Never mind. We'll do them all. So if I made any big boo-boos, I can go over it with the. I can go over it and put a bit more on that one because it's a bigger leaf. I can get the derwent eraser. So this one here, I've gone over just a bit too much, so I can take that off. So you can do it when it's dry. Once you've wet it, you can't do that. There's a little bit there as well. And it will completely disappear. It won't do that on the Bennett Kleins if it's a lot thinner. It will, but it was a bit risky. But this one definitely will take it off for you. And you don't want to blow because the dust, that's what you've got. The colour is the dust. And then this one I've used on that corner there. Little facet there. So I know I have quite a nice area to use. And I'm not filling the space completely. I could do, if I wanted some extremely vivid colours, I could. And don't worry about every single one because you will have colour on your brush by the time you've got round everyone. So again, twist the brush, clean it, twist it. So we'll start at the top. So this one is going to be kind of going to dark. And this is a bit wet, this brush, but this paper can take it. And we're just manipulating those dust particles to become Actually, I might just do all the light ones first, because it is a really nice soft colour, is this. Sometimes you do something and you think, oh, I love that colour, and sometimes you think, ugh, what did I do that for? And this is a moment that I think, oh, I love this soft colour. And this reminds me of the Inktense blocks when I did the bunny page. So now I'm going to go back in with this one. I think I'm just going to go dark. Now if I don't go over that line, so I've gone over it with the pastel and I've wet it, but I haven't gone over it with the brush. Now where that yellow is, it's going to make that green into a yellow green. So I'm going to let that dry, and then when I come back I should be able to manipulate that. So thanks guys for this impromptu Saturday. I always feel I don't really want to intrude, because this is a live recording, intruding everybody's peace and quiet on a weekend. So put that on there. Get some really nice effects. Some quite nice effects. I think I've nearly finished. See, just put that down a minute, and I'll just look at chat in a second. I just want to finish this little one down here. And we've got colour. Thank you, darling. We've got colour on there. So don't think that you can't do every one. See, there's some colour on here. I've forgotten this one here. So what this has given me by picking up that bit of colour is such a soft green that I would never have got. Now, I could have used my little tiny brush which fell on the floor earlier, or the rigger. Again, these are so soft, these greens. And you'd struggle to get that, really. It's such a nice soft pale colour. But because we've got this strong, very, very strong, well pigmented pastel, and although it doesn't look green, it will do in a second. And you can almost use it like a paper palette and steal from a dark area. And have these wonderful soft colours. So if you actually dived into a colour, it would be much too dark. But this way we've got some gorgeous little soft, some really nice soft, very pale colours. It just feels a little bit chalky because, as I say, technically it isn't a watercolour. So you've got to make sure you fix quite a lot of it. if you've got a dark area. Oh yes, I saw the post for the oil pastels. I'll have a look at that one. I'll have a look at them, they sound interesting. The only problem is I'm trying not to get new things because the hands aren't brilliant. Now I can always pass them on to both my daughters draw, one's at uni, but so that's okay, but I wouldn't really want to do not being awful to her, but I think I want to use things a bit longer if I can. But I think because I've been drawing for 50 years, I have so many things. And it's only since 5 years ago that I did my art degree, so I've still got quite a lot from there. And things like pencils and pastels and things that, I had them a while. So I'm going to pan out a little bit so you can see the colour, hopefully see the proper colour. And this is what you do, you stop and have a bit of a think. So his face needs a bit of work because he does have and what I'm going to do is I've finished with the greens now, so again just pop them back where they go. So I've got that little corner missing. I think that's the chocolate. Oopsie, that's the chocolate one. And the pale one goes at the top and the darker one goes at the bottom. Now I haven't changed these in order that they arrived. That's the flesh colour. So I might do that actually. I might put them in my what I call my favourite colour order, and then that will give me some indication of is this a purple or is it a brown. And these, so they all look quite similar, so I think I'll start with, I'm going to put them in my favourite colour order. Now there's two whites in this set. One's called a blender and the other one's just white, and that's because you can blend something to make it paler. That's your blender. This one is if you want to do a highlight. So you can make your colours paler by using this. So I could have put white with this green if I wanted, or white with another colour to get some really nice effects, or I can use the white one if I want it pure white. So I think that's why they give you that blender white. I would suspect it's a slightly stronger or slightly different pigment. So I wanted to lift this up. Oh, got it. I always put an elastic band around my tins because if they drop, at least they don't go everywhere. So I don't know if you can see, that's probably a better colour. So it is slightly darker than it's looking. My light's a bit strong. Let me see if I can turn this light off. And I'll take, that's a slightly better colour. So that's the colours that we have. But I did have a light on to make it not quite as bright in here. I think that probably looks better actually. Do we think that might look a bit better? Hubby came in and turned the light on because it's got dark. And just see what it looks like when we pan in a bit. The only problem is the shadow will be from my side, so you won't be able to see what I'm doing because I'm left-handed. But they're the colours, so they are quite nice, and there's a little bit of variation on the leaves. Now there's no reason, and it's dried now, that you can't get the brush and go in with the green and create a shadow. I wouldn't do this today. I'd probably do this tomorrow or a few days later. And you can then kind of really give it some detail. But I don't normally want to do that. I normally kind of like it as it is. I kind of like it as it is, and that's how I like to work. I like to just do the colours and then leave it, it's done, because I spend a lot of time with the pencils, blending, so I don't need to do that. So we've got two more types of flowers. This one's kind of like maybe like a peach or a pink, and these could be an orange colour. So what we could do now, have a look at the colours. So this looks quite a nice colour, and that's a pinky red. So I think I might put that with maybe a reddy red, or those two with the little ones. I think I might do those two on there, and this one I think I'm going to use with a deeper purple, I think. So sometimes I use the rule of 3, but this one I'm not. So this is a red, so we'll have a look at the real colours, and then you realise, are you going to make a real boo-boo. So this one is 160, and 160 is crimson. And the other one is £5.90 and £5.90. I thought £5.90 was chocolate. So I needed the purplier one. £5.40 is... £5.40 is a green. Oh, that's the thing. So that's £6.50. Is French dark grey, French grey dark. So I don't want a cool one. I want more of a purpley one. Oh, I've got one down here. And this one is. You can't see the numbers very well. I think this is a purpley one. This is I think that's 140. And that's violet oxide. So I'll find my little bit of paper and have a play. This is 540. 540 is burnt umber. Oh, we said that before. So they're the browns. So 200 is a purple. £280. Oh, 280 is missing. It's a purple, and I've put it somewhere. And I don't know where I've put it, so I think I might like that one. So I've put chocolate back. So I seem to have got a pinky red, so put a little bit of this here. And I'm just going to work in the same way as I did. I think this is just a bit of a scratch. Don't need much colour. Just trying to work out how that flower went, but And I think I'm just going to put a bit of this colour further down, and I can blend them together, so I'm not particularly going to cry if it's the wrong colour. And then we've got that down there, that's dark, and that's dark. And I've picked up enough colour to just do that little bit down there. Oh, I didn't want dark, I wanted pale, but never mind. So again, water brush, baby wipe. So I'm going to start at the top, take that pinky red up, and then we can bring it down to manipulate it into there. So now I do have to clean the brush because there will be a dot, but again that's the only bit I waste. I love that. So again, manipulate the pinky red, and then bring in that dark purple and twist to a point. That's what I've just got, twist to a point. And then we'll take this one pale and manipulate it down the middle, and then we want that purple. So you're going to get a lot more colours than just the initial ones that you had. The first two that you've got, the pink and the purple. You're going to have so many colours in between. And you can think where the light's going to be if you want, or you can just kind of manipulate it however you want. So I think I'm going to clean the brush, take that pink back to its pale pink. And sometimes two colours just work so magically together. I tend to do that with the carmine, I just love it. So we can touch that and do that highlight on that petal, and touch that and then incorporate that under there to behave itself. And we've done that one, so they're both done. And again, not the colours I would normally choose. So this one's the opposite, the pink's around the outside. And then we have a little bit of the purple in the middle. And we can do this one while we're at it. And I'll have enough to do that highlight and that highlight, so I don't need to put any more on it. So, clean brush, take this pinky one here, manipulate it round, incorporate the blue, and it's such a nice dark, almost blue purple. So you had a bit of purple on there, but never mind. Clean the brush. If you didn't clean your brush, you wouldn't have a nice effect. So we can take that in there, but now we've got to clean the brush. Back to pink again. So this one, we want that red taken to the pink. And then we'll take this one as well. You get a nice watercolour effect. And then we'll drop down to bring out that purple. So we've got some quite nice things going on there. So we've got a buzzy bee. I'm putting the pencils on the floor because so we want a buzzy bee, and the buzzy bee I would think some yellow stripes. We have a bright yellow. I think I have a bright yellow one. So again, this is a bit. I'd normally pull out the pastel, but and then we have another bee there. Just put a touch of colour on the wings, just a touch. So clean brush, manipulate the yellow, and then incorporate it with that green. So we just have a soft colour. Oh, sorry guys, I was off camera. Manipulate the little yellow E's, and then so I missed some of the flowers, so I think I'm just going to do them a pink. So again, you've got probably stronger colours this time. I'm going to do that one as well. So the little ones are normally full strength. And I might just do this first. And by doing this, what I've done is I found some more leaves that I'd missed. So you can do all these little flowers. There's only about half a dozen of them. So these must be poppies because that's a poppy head. And I can just touch that purple and go in there. And there's something about this purple with these. I think they've all had a bit of purple. And it's a purple grey this now, so I think we'll just put Buzzy Bee. You can always sometimes use the colours somewhere else. So the Buzzy Bees. So bear with me guys, I can't see chat. Just let me just put this away. And then I'm just going to touch the green one. And just go in there. I don't think there's any other ones. So let's just have a real quick look at that. So there's the colours. There's our bun. I've got to do the flowers now, and let me have a think. I think I like this red and this coral. I think I like those two colours. So again, I'm going to put a bit of a scratch of colour as tight as I can. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the yellow. Sorry, the orange. And again, I want that near because I want the top to be as pale as possible. So we have 100, which on the pencils 100 is Spectrum Orange, and the red one is 130, which is Cadmium Red. So that should work quite well. So clean brush, work the orange out all the way around, I think is the best way to do it. And then incorporate the red. That's my water brush having a moan. So I'll zoom in quickly and then I'll see if anybody's got what I've missed. Oh, Susanna, she puts them round too. Just going to spread that up a bit. I don't like that. It is a soft, subtle thing, but it doesn't look it on the actual page, but it is. So the other way to do it is to touch a bit of red. Just go in. Red, clean the brush, touch the orange, so if you want a paler, softer effect, this is quite nice. Dramatic is more kind of full on. It's definitely easier, I think, to scratch a little bit of colour if you can remember where the little corner is that you used. I can't have used much because I can't find the corner. There it is, I think that's it. so you do get quite a lot of colour. And as I say, you could go around, scratch them all, and then just take the book and a water brush with you and leave your pastels at home. Oopsie. Oh, thanks, Suzanne. Thank you. Just unsteady. And I'd so put off colouring this page for so long because I was worried about doing it wrong. And I don't think there is a wrong. There's ones that you work and they're absolutely perfect, and then you have ones that you think, oh well, I wish I'd done that differently. But I mean, if the worst comes to the worst, you can buy the book again and do it differently. So it's never the end of the world. Hopefully this way I will be able to finish colour books though. But the Derwent water brush is just absolutely perfect for this, because it never makes anything too wet. The only pages I wouldn't use it, I'll use it in any colour book except for Bennett Klein, the Mushroom book and the Epics, the Bennett Klein papers. And if you photocopy anything, you can practice. And when you can photocopy, when you can watercolour on a photocopy, you'll be able to Bible journal or that very thin paper without it going through. So I'll put the red first. I think I'll do yellow middles, because that's going to make, the red's going to make them pop. Oh, poor Bungle, he's scratching at the window to come in. He's waving at the glass, and Alfie does it to get out. But Bungle's too naughty. Oops. We shouldn't disturb the sleeping dogs, but really quickly, look. Oopsie. Two babies. Two babies. Oh, Bungle, she's listening. And Bungle's by the window, scratching at the door to let me in, let me in. Poor little boy. Sorry guys, I'm really sick then. Poor little man. And just for you, Suzanne. Oh no, he's moved. Right, that's enough. That was naughty. No peace and quiet in this house. So you can mush it sideways, you can swish it out right left ways, any way you want, whatever effect you want. And as I say, if you really don't like it, you can go back in there. Oopsie, sorry guys. You can go back in there another day. I personally wouldn't do it today. I would leave it a good few hours, and then you can go on it in it again if you want to. I've never actually done that, so perhaps I might do that as a video. What do you think, guys? Do you think that would be good to build up your colours? So where am I going now? I think I'll go here. I'll do the red first because I can get kind of right in with it. And remember, this is quite a big pastel. But again, because they're quite chunky, you can pick them up. They're not going to hurt your fingers. And the water brush, you can do this literally all day. If I can do it all day, anybody can do it all day. Because my hands hurt when I don't do anything. So if I can do it, and there is something quite nice about colouring and being creative, and I definitely think it should be used in old people's homes as well, because even people with arthritis, they can do this. So you could buy a colour book, scratch some colour in, probably not with pastels, but with neos or derwent watercolour pencils, and then you can give it to somebody in a home and they can sit and colour and get some enjoyment from life, and all they're doing is just manipulating colour. And I think it would be wonderful in hospital as well, because you've just got a water brush and you can drop it and there's no water. And it's a really quick way to work. I've been about an hour and 26 minutes, but I've been doing a lot of bunny cam, sorry, not bunny cams. There's been a lot of bungle cams and Alfie cams. So apologies guys, apologies anybody at YouTube. But live streaming always makes me want to do bunny cam, animal cams. Especially Bungle and Alfie, because they're cute. The others are older and they're not bothered, but Bungle is a little star, bless him. And so too is Betsy Doodles. I'm hoping soon she'll be out playing. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I think I'm a bit worried that the new regime from Google will obliterate my channel. I think they're changing lots and lots of things. So thanks guys for stopping by. This is impromptu Saturday, although I may start streaming on a Saturday because we don't do many model railway shows now. where I used to be away nearly every weekend. So, and not many other people stream on a Saturday. So it's very, very relaxing, is this, just manipulating this colour. And they're very much like the Neos, you know, they're just melting. It's just dust melting into a watercolour. They are very well behaved. If you scratch the colour on, you'd have to put paper between, either greaseproof paper or tracing paper, or even a piece of photocopy paper would do, just to protect the other page side. They would literally fall off because there's nothing holding them on. I'm just going to cheat a bit with this one. There's absolutely nothing holding these on. So I need some bright yellow now. Oh, hubby's prepared a dinner for me. What I'm going to do is just take that bright yellow, which is number 30. Now, what did we say 30 was? Deep cadmium. And I'm going to pop that there so you can see what I'm doing. So there's two little dips. One's got the number and one's got the word England written on them. I'm going on the England one because it eventually makes... It did on the Inktense blocks. I'm going to just colour these little yellow ones in. And I've dropped a boo-boo. Sorry, I've just drunk a gobful of tea. A big mistake when you're live. I've dropped a boo-boo, if you notice. I haven't done the centres. But that should be fine. So I'm just going to go around quite haphazardly. I think I might want to do those white. I've got a Posca pen somewhere. I might do the little snowdrops, whatever they are. I might do them white. So I might go over them with a Posca pen to make them pop out. I don't normally do mixed media. I think I'm going to start doing more mixed media. Because, you know, to do a nice page in an hour is quite a nice way to work. So just put in a little bit of oopsie. Now I've got a little bit of yellow here, so I'm just going to put, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go up there slightly. I've got some bright light from somewhere and it's only a small lamp. See how bright that yellow is? It's really, really bright. Very strong, so I'm just going to just very carefully bring it down to nothing. And then I'm going to touch this red, so I'm going to put the red away, which was the cadmium. Oh, for goodness sake, go in there. And the orange, cadmium orange. And again, I'm going to go in this England one here. And I'm just going to must have been a different red, was it? I didn't think it was a different red. I didn't think so at all. Now, if I really don't like this, I can go back and put some finer detail to it another day. But I love this quick way of working. It's not just slapping the paint on. This particular bit is, because I've already done all the hard work. I've done all the centres. So they've all got dark middles now. So I've just got at the bottom some leaves to do and a bit of grass down here. But it's taken an hour and a half to finish this, and I kind of like it. I've still got a really nice effect. I can do this anywhere. I don't have to be at home where I can't be knocked or moved. And I love the colours. I really do love the colours. They're showing up slightly better. And they're not normally what I would do. But I've been so frightened of this page since I bought the book last year. And actually, it's not that bad. I shouldn't have been so frightened. I'm going to kind of darken him up a little bit, I think. But I won't do that with pencils. I'll do it with watercolour. But there's nothing next door at all. It's all perfectly okay. And it's all set now. It's all set. So it's no longer a pastel, it's now a watercolour. So I'll do some little bits to that and then I'll post it on my Facebook. So thank you for watching. That's my Derwent pastel pencils in Daydreams. Thanks for watching, guys.